Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Brady, Town Moderator. A quorum of over 76 RTMs being present, please come to order. Please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance and followed by the singing of our national anthem by middle school students. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance first, okay? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Thank you. This is under the direction of Jesse Allen, who is our musical director here at the middle school. And we have three middle school students, 8th grade students, Grace Cullen, Sophia Carlin, and Abby Sampson are going to sing the national anthem for us. I think I just heard a pin drop. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd like to introduce our new town clerk, Laura Bamford. Laura's right here. Welcome, Laura. She has over 15 years in town government experience. She was with Walpole as an assistant town clerk from 2017 to 2023. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree. We are thrilled to have her, and be kind to her because it's her first town meeting. So, I also want to take a minute to thank Liz Gaffney for all the wonderful work she did. I'm sure she's probably tuned in and watching, so thank you very much, Liz. So, Laura, as your first offense, does the clerk attest to the return of the warrant?
Yes,
She does. Okay, wonderful. On stage this evening, we have from my left to your right to left, we have Mark Reich, the town council, Jim Johnson, Jim O'Neill's down there, Jim Johnson, town administrator Ben Barrett, and then we have Doug Shea and Den Crowley, both in the finance committee. So we also have a newly elected RTM this evening out of Precinct 3. They caucused before the meeting. Anja Gothals? Is that, am I pronouncing it correct? There she is. So welcome. They're thrilled to have you. Very, very nice that you're willing to do this. Tonight, it's the coverage is with Walpole Media, channel 22, I believe, on Comcast, 21 on the other one. We do have and I want to thank the television people for covering this. They're all volunteers, and it's very kind of them to do so. We do have one resolution this evening. It's offered by town meeting member Phil Shekarowski. There was a copy of this petition, this resolution, at the front desk. Phil, would you like to speak to this before moving forward. Mr. Zegarowski.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Philip Shavarowski from Precinct 7. And I have a resolution seconded by Sally Groves, Precinct 6. Whereas the citizenry of Walpole, like most of the United States, was formed largely by immigrants and migrants, and that the majority of present-day Americans are their direct descendants. And whereas the United States and Walpole benefit from the wide diversity of cultures in our communities, and that we depend on migrant and immigrant labor for many essential services. And whereas the harsh enforcement actions of federal immigration officials are bringing fear and chaos to our communities, including Walpole. And whereas these actions often violate the civil rights and due process of people and are counter to the values of Massachusetts and Walpole, therefore be it resolved, Walpole Town Meeting affirm that we welcome immigrants and migrants to our community. And be it further resolved, we affirm Walpole's values of justice and due process and the fair treatment for all. Be it further resolved, we urge the Massachusetts legislature to pass appropriate laws like the PROTECT Act, protecting the rights of migrants and immigrants as called for by the United States Constitution. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Walpole State Representatives John Rogers, Edward Phillips, Marcus Vong, and Paul McMurtry, and Walpole State Senator Michael Rush. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zegarowski. Questions and comments with regard to Mr. Zegarowski's resolution? It's non-binding. It requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. It is a vote. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voting for staffing the door, the custodial staff. If you're a RTM, please sit on this side of the aisle back there. If not, please sit in the rear of the hall. Procedurally, if you wish to make a comment, please come down to the microphones. I know you folks have been doing this for a while, so you know the process. Come down to the microphones and speak. I'll recognize you when you're turning. I'll try to make sure we get to everyone. If you have new information, that's great. If it's a repeat information, we'll try to avoid that if we can. Our tellers this evening, if need be, on my left, your right, is Joe Williams and Bill O'Connell in that section. In the center section is Terry Thornton and Jim O'Neill. And on the right section, Cheryl Karen and Bill Buckley. I usually have a few remarks, but I'm going to pass those over. I do want to recognize and have come up to speak Congressman Stephen Lynch. He's here this evening, and we're thrilled to have the congressman. And I think, there you go, Steve. He's pretty agile, too. Not bad for a guy 70 plus, huh? Here you go, Steve.
Thank you so much, Jim, and Madam Clerk. Welcome aboard, my colleagues in government, Jim Johnson and FinCom, and I know all of my colleagues in local government as well. Thank you for the courtesy, Jim, and I'll give a very quick summary of what's going on. We're normally in Washington on nights like this, and so it's a real honor for me to be able to just give a little bit of update of what's going on, both here with respect to the federal funding that we bring back and also what's going on in Washington, D.C. But since I was last here at the autumn town meeting, I'm now very proud to report that we were able to actually get the $850,000 for Walpole High School transportation plan. That was in the, thank you, that was in the, matter of fact, I went by, I was here 2 weeks ago, we did an event with at the senior center, and I went by the front of the high school, and it's well under construction. It might even be finished by now. They were well on their way, but what's that? What's that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure of that. But anyway, with the pick up and drop off, the bus, there was sort of a safety issue there, a public safety issue there, so we're able to redesign the whole thing for pick up and drop off in the morning, because that can be a real cluster at times. That was separate and apart. We got $7.7 million from the federal government for ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, and our local town manager and the Board of Selectmen really were wise in how they spent that money. A lot of it went towards basic infrastructure, drainage. We did the HVA system at the high school and a bunch of other projects, but it was really well spent. And of course, every dollar we bring back from the federal government is one that we don't have to rely on for local taxpayers. Last week, we were able to finally get the clearance and vote on the bipartisan Department of Homeland Security bill. For some reason, even though we had 100% of the Senate vote for that several weeks ago, we were having trouble getting it through. And so this week, we were able to do that. So they'll all be paid. But that also funds the Coast Guard. It funds the TSA, FEMA, the Secret Service, and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, which is really, really important for Walpole because of the upcoming FIFA World Cup games at Foxborough. We all know how Walpole is often heavily impacted, but it doesn't get the attention and the resources that are necessary to really defray some of the expenses that Walpole taxpayers incur because of what's going on at Gillette Stadium. So that's going to be a 39-day World Cup. There's 6 games, but finally we were able to get the disbursements from the Department of Homeland Security, and I think we're in a good place right now. We'll have to watch for any overruns or things like that, but I've been working with Jim Johnson directly on this as we've moved along. We were able to shake loose some of that federal funding that will defray those costs. But there'll be 3 million visitors for these games, and that's on top of Operation Sail, which is, the tall ships are coming in, and then the 250th anniversary. It's all kind of jammed into within about 6 weeks. So, just batten down the hatches, I guess. But I think the funding is in place to deal with that from a security situation. We were also able to successfully urge the Department of Veterans Affairs to reverse a rule that they had called the medication rule. So just quickly, any of our veterans coming home or who are, any veterans who have served from Walpole would normally, if they're applying for disability benefits, normally they would just measure their disability based on what their health was and what their capability was before they signed up for the military. They tried to adopt a rule, which I thought was unfair, which said if a veteran had certain medications that helped them, could be a painkiller if they had a bad back injury, or if they had PTSD and there were some psychotropic drugs that were helping them, the benefit, the disability benefit would be the difference of what they were able to do on medication versus when they were fully capable. So it actually diminished the amount of disability benefits. It was unfair to those veterans because their disability benefits should be based on their full health when they went into the service. If they incurred those injuries, those disabilities, whether those were invisible wounds of war or not, they should be compensated because we made a promise to them when they put on that uniform that if they came back with the scars of war, we would take care of them. And so that rule, absolutely. Thankfully, the administration reversed that rule at the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I give great credit to our own Walpole Veteran Service Officer, Ian Rogers, for the great work that Ian does. Next, the Norwood Hospital situation. So I know a lot of people from Walpole were getting their care at Norwood Hospital. We're currently in negotiations with, originally there were about 8 different hospital groups that were interested in taking over Norwood Hospital. But quite a few of them didn't want to put in a full-service acute care hospital. They wanted to do obstetrics, but they didn't want to do emergency care. So we finally narrowed it down. There's just 2 or 3 now that are in the bidding for this. The problem is we've got to get the property back from the private equity firm that Stewart Healthcare sold the land which is under the hospital. We've got to get that land back. So I give great credit to our state delegation, Mike Rush, Senator Mike Rush, John Rogers, Paul McMurtry, Ted Phillips. They filed a bill up at the State House about a month ago. I went and testified a few weeks ago just to use eminent domain to get that hospital back as a public, not-for-profit hospital. So we're in negotiations, like I say, with the last 2 or 3 firms. The hospital's only 25% complete, so it's 75% unconstructed. So it's going to take a while to get that construction completed, and then we're going to have to be relicensed. But we've got a commitment from the governor to help us do that. So we bear in mind that it's putting a lot of strain on the ambulance system here in Walpole and all these other towns, because now if someone has a heart attack or a bad accident, they've got to take an ambulance into Boston oftentimes or to Brockton, and that's taking that ambulance out of service for a considerable amount of time. So it's much less than ideal. Lastly, in closing, one of the greatest honors I have in my job is nominating young people from Walpole to our nation's military academies. And I'm proud of the young men and women from Walpole, and you've had quite a few. There's a long and strong tradition of sending young men and women from Walpole to our top military academies. And I just want to, I recently had the privilege of nominating Stephen Jung, who is soon to be, he's a senior right now at Walpole High School, to the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he has been appointed to the class of 2030. Not only this, but so he's the son of Eunice and, I'm trying to think, oh my goodness, all right. He's the son of Mrs. and Mrs. Jung. And, but the interesting is, I appointed his brother, Michael, who's now, he's in the class of 2026, just about to graduate. So, and those 2 kids were Walpole High School kids. And it's a very, very competitive process. You should be enormously proud. Like Jack O'Hare, Daniel O'Hare, two Walpole kids, Ben Simmons, Joe Gallagher. These are all Naval Academy, by the way. These 2 young men who are there, who are going right now, are obviously West Point. Brendan Mills, United States Naval Academy. Joe DeSantis, United States Merchant Marine Academy, and the list goes on. But that's because of the example that our veterans from Walpole have demonstrated to these young people and given them the desire to serve their country. So I want to thank you for participating in town meeting. It is the honor of my life to represent the town of Walpole in the United States Congress. Walpole does it right. You care about your kids, you care about your seniors, you care about your veterans. And there's nothing better than that. God bless you all. Thank you all.
Right that way. Yeah. Thank you, Congressman Lynch. Thank you very much. Good information. I could add, if I would, Liberty, 2 other West Point graduates. One is who will be presenting this evening, Phil Mackey, Jr., who's here this evening. He's a West Point grad. And my dear friend, Dick Finke, who's on the back, I just appointed to the FinCom a while ago. We're classmates. He was a 1976 graduate and highly decorated combat veteran. So thank you for your service, all of you. Before I continue, in reviewing the town charter, the Rules Committee of this body we need to have a Rules Committee. Doesn't mean you have to meet or do much of anything, but at least we have to have it because the charter requires it. So I asked Laura to look into that, and we have kind of a Rules Committee here. I don't know if, so what I'm getting at is, I know we don't take a break anymore, but we're going to have to take a little break at some point because I need you to elect one person from each precinct to be on the Rules Committee here. So there is Jennifer Gotsis. Is Jennifer here by any chance? Jenny, okay, you're on the Rules Committee now. Do you want to stay on the Rules Committee? Are you okay with that? Yeah, okay, so precinct 1, you're all set. Peter Drogan from precinct 5, is he here? No? Okay. But Peter is on the Rules Committee, and Peter's going to stay on the Rules Committee. How's that sound? That's what you get for not showing up, Peter. And Precinct 8, Lisa Van der Linden. I hope I'm saying that correct. Lisa, would you like to stay on the Rules Committee? No, thank you. Okay, so Lisa's off. At least well, Lisa, you showed up, you get off, all right. So, all right. So, precincts, let me see, make sure I have this right. Precincts 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how you folks want to do this, but do you want to take a break I don't know, halfway through and just take 5 minutes and elect somebody from each precinct? Would that be amenable to everyone? Okay? Yeah, I'm getting a few nods. Okay, so at some point, we'll take a very, very, very short break, caucus with your precinct, and maybe we'll just, you know who's who, but maybe just go around there, 1, 2, 3, just do it that way, and we'll get somebody in the Rules Committee, so, thank you. Now, I have a motion from the Finance Committee to waive the reading of the warrant, which requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. I will read the articles as long as they're not too lengthy. I have another motion that all motions of the Finance Committee be the main motion. That requires a simple majority vote as well. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. The consent agenda. I did not receive any emails or phone calls with regard to the consent agenda, but our rules provide that the moderator make use of the consent agenda to compromise articles which generate no apparent controversy or could be properly voted on as one unit. The consent agenda with the article numbers in Finance Committee was emailed to you, as you know. I'm going to read the articles, and then if you wish to hold that article, please do so, and we'll take it up for discussion. So there are 5 articles on the consent agenda. 4 of those 5 articles require a simple majority vote. The 5th article, that's Article 9, requires a 2/3 vote. So I'm going to first read Article 2, which is the budget adjustments for fiscal year 26. Favorable action from the Finance Committee, 13-0. Favorable action from the Board of Selectmen, 5-0-0. The union contracts, Article 4, again on the consent agenda. Finance Committee voted 14-0-0 in favor. Select Board, 5-0-0. Article 5, Sewer and Water, fiscal year 26 adjustments. Finance Committee voted 14-0-0. Select Board, 5-0-0. In Article 7, the Walpole Media fiscal year 27 budget, Finance Committee voted favorable action 13-0-0. Select Board, 5-0-0. There's a hold on number 7, Article 7. So, Articles 2, 4, and 5. Any questions or concerns? Any holds? There being none, requires a simple... Go ahead. Mr. O'Leary, please stand. Are you holding something? Article 5 is correct. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Larry. So Articles 2, 4, and 5 on the consent agenda requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. It is a unanimous vote. And I'm going to... I'm going to, when it's a unanimous vote, I'm going to declare it as such. It's better for the clerk, and it's better for overall process, I'm told. Article 7, we'll get to that, and we'll take it up at that time. Article 9, again, on the consent agenda, this is the MWRA sewer loan issue. Finance Committee voted favorable action 13-0-0. The Select Board voted favorable action 5-0-0. Does anyone wish to hold Article 9? There being none, this requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Article 1. It is regularly moved and seconded that the town hear or act upon any report or committee, or to choose any committee the town may think proper, and transact any other business that may legally come before the town. This is an article which remains open during the pendency of this meeting. It will dissolve upon dissolution of the meeting. Is there any committee or board that wishes to report to the town meeting at this point in time? There being none, we'll move to Article 2, which was on the consent agenda. Article 3 are the budgets. So, if you, and I know everyone read everything before they came, if you look at the overall budget, I'm not going to read this, it's rather lengthy, but the budget, total budget amount is $129,505,325. Now, what I'm going to do is, in your printed packet, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go to the, there's a black line that goes all across the printed thing. We're going to divide it that way instead of reading every single budget. It's just not necessary. So, looking at the budgets, and by the way, the budget requires a simple majority vote when we get to the end of this. But if you're looking at the budgets on the third or fourth page or so in, you'll see total government, total general government. And are there any questions or comments on total general government? Any holds on any of the line items in that? No? Okay. We can continue through police department, fire, and so on and so forth. We come to total public safety. Let's see, the budget there is, I'll read the budget amount, but that is for fiscal year 27, $15,109,915. And back just for a moment to total government, that is $6,618,351. Any questions or concerns on public safety or any holds? There being none. Next is total public works. Public works departments is, education, did I miss it? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Bridget, imagine that, skipped over education, huh? Where is it? Sorry, I'm missing that page. Okay. Public Works. You have it. You have that for me, Laura. Oh, thank you. I missed that. I didn't highlight it. My apologies. Total public education, $63,699,042. Questions and concerns on public education? Okay. All right. Public Works, $6,414,150 on Public Works. Any holds, questions, or concerns on Public Works? Okay. Total Culture and Recreation, $2,274,801. What's that? Jeez. We need a new moderator here, for crying out loud. Give me that. Where is it? Oh, this one. All right. Health and Human Services, $914,519. Okay. Okay, total culture and recreation, $2,274,801. Questions and comments? Okay. Debt and interest, $7,747,034. No questions or concerns? Total assessments and fringe benefits, $26,727,514. Total overall budget, $129,505,326. Any questions or comments on the budget? This requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence as well. Article 4. Also on the consent agenda. Article 5 on the consent agenda. Is this the one that he had? Article 5? No. 7. Okay. Article 6. Article 6 is the sewer and water budgets. There are two motions in this one article. We're going to vote. It's all within one article, but we're going to take two votes on this. First is the water, and then second would be the sewer. So we're dealing first, in the first section of this article, with the Water Enterprise Fund, and the second would be the Sewer Enterprise Fund. So, Article 6, it is moved that the following sums be appropriated to the Water and Enterprise Fund and expended under the direction of the Department of Public Works for the purposes of operating the Water Department in fiscal year 2027. The vote of the FinCom, please.
Finance Committee voted favorable action 12-0-0.
Select Board.
The vote of the Select Board was favorable action 5-0-0.
The vote of the Sewer and Water Commissioners. Did you take a vote on this, Pradeep?
The Water and Sewer Board voted 3-0.
Oh, say again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a 3-0 vote.
3-0-0, thank you. Mr. O'Neill, questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim O'Neill, Precinct 8. The sewer and water budgets are balanced. Revenues match expenses for both budgets. The revenue for both budgets is based on the January rate hearing and vote by the Water and Sewer Commissioners. Following the Water and Sewer Commissioners' vote, the water and sewer budgets were reviewed by Town Administration, voted favorable action by the Sewer and Water Commissioners that we just heard, and by the Finance Committee and the Select Board, and are before town meeting tonight is Article 6. The Water and Sewer Commissioners are planning to conduct an additional rate hearing in June. A concern has been noted by the FinCom, as published in the FinCom booklet, and in the letter sent to the town meeting members by the town administrator. Their concern is that if the outcome of the June rate hearing is a reduction in revenue in one or both budgets, gaps to expenses would be created. Before we vote Article 6, I would like to hear from the chairman of the Sewer and Water Commission exactly what the commissioners are planning to do to close any revenue gaps that may result from the June rate hearing.
Okay, you're directing your request to whom? I'm sorry, Mr. O'Neill?
Chairman of the Sewer and Water Commission.
Chairman of Sewer and Water.
So I want to report to the town meeting here that the water revenues for first 9 months of fiscal year are around 6.9 million, which is sufficient to meet any projected budget for next fiscal year also. So from last 5 years, the water and sewer budgets are always profitable, and in the first 9 months, we are meeting the budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Mr. O'Neill?
It doesn't. So the rates were set in January. The budget's been built on the rates. There's going to be a new rate hearing in June. If that rate hearing results in a reduction in the rates, therefore a reduction in revenue, my question is, how are we going to fill that gap?
Okay. Mr. Mishra, can you answer that question? Question is, how are you going to fill the gap if the rates are reduced?
Yes, so from last 5 years, we are always done a rate hearing in June when we have actual numbers from the first 11 months of the fiscal year. So I don't see any impact. And all the last 5 years, we have made profits, more than $500,000 to $1 million, which comes up back into the fall town meetings for the meeting members to expense on for other projects. So it's always profitable in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, through you to the chairman of the Water and Sewer Commission, does that mean that we don't anticipate a change in the rates in June?
Mr. Mishra?
The revenue numbers of first 11 months will decide what will be the rates, and we'll try to meet the actual budgeted which is passed by the town here.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
We will try to match the budget with the revenue numbers, what people are using, as we have done in the past 5 years.
Okay.
So, Mr. Moderator, through you again, if the rates change in June, and if a revenue gap is created as a result of the rates changing, what is the plan to close the gap?
Mr. Mishra, is there a plan to close the gap if the rates change?
So the board can do rate hearing whenever the town can request. It can be done in December, it can be done in October. There's always a public hearing process which can be taken to increase the rate whenever it's needed.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, I'm going to stop asking the question. If the rates change in June and if the revenue drops, we're gonna have a gap in the budget to expenses. There's only a couple ways to fix that. One is to cut costs. Two is to take the money out of retained earnings. If we take the money out of retained earnings, then the downside to that is we're gonna take away from our ability to take care of issues that may arise that are unexpected in the future. Prudent fiscal and financial management says you should have 20% of your budget in reserves. Right now, we have 20% in retained earnings for both the water and the sewer budgets. My concern is that if the rates change in June, and if retained earnings are tapped into to close the gap, that we will end up taking down the retained earnings below the 20%. That, of course, has implications for bond ratings, interest costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it is my hope that the Sewer and Water Commissioners will hold rates steady when we get to June. Those rates were vetted properly in January, and we should hold them steady in June, not create a gap to revenue, because we are then going to have to deal with that in the fall town meeting. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Ms. McNamara.
Lucy McNamara, 16 Clear Pond Drive, Precinct 6. So last year, I attended, or was it last year, I attended the rate hearing in June. And to my surprise, and I know the Sewer and Water Commission are not going to appreciate my evaluation, I saw members of the town present what the expenses were, what the projections were, and then I saw members of the commission start to play with those figures, and in my mind, just felt because of their positions, they could just determine whatever rates they wanted. That has implications for the rest of us. That's very serious. I did not feel that my Sewer and Water Commission were looking out for my needs nor the needs of the town. And as much as we have elected them, and that is a really important thing to have a public voice, I was really just so surprised and overwhelmed by what I witnessed. And it didn't seem to have the level of decorum or professionalism that I would want. So these are my opinions, but I was the only public person there, and that's what I witnessed. And I think this group needs to know that those things could happen in the June meeting, that this isn't a supposition. This did occur last year, and it is in the YouTube catalog of meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further questions and comments with regard to Article 6, particularly the water and sewer budget aspect of this? There being none, we'll vote this monies first. Although this requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. Unanimous vote. The second, thank you, Laura. She's learning very quickly over here. Keep me in order. Next is the sewer. It is regularly moved and seconded that the following sums be appropriated to the Sewer Enterprise Fund and expended under the direction of the Department of Public Works for the purposes of operating the sewer department in fiscal year 2027. The numbers are in your book. Questions and comments with regard to the second section of Article 6? There being none, it requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. A unanimous vote. Thank you. Article 7, before we get to Article 7, which is being held from the consent agenda, I did want to recognize, I had conversations with Representative David Johnson and with Representative Lucy McNamara prior to the meeting. Mr. Johnson, you have a motion you'd like to offer to the body?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to move Citizens Petition 13 between 6 and 7 for consideration while the body's full.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, is there a second to that? To move Article, what Mr. Johnson wishes to do is to take Article 13 out of order, take it up now before we move on to Article 7. And there's a second. This requires, it's debatable if you wish to debate it. I think the rationale is, as explained to me by Mr. Johnson, it's an important issue. He wants to make sure there's plenty of people here. I mentioned to him, I don't see people leaving these meetings. I think you guys are wonderful in terms of paying attention and staying here the entire evening. But I understand his concern. So this can be debated if you wish. It's simply moving the article out of order. We're going to take it up next. I will tell you that Ms. McNamara would like to take Article 14 up, and I'll wait. We'll do this first, Lucy, and then we'll move on to yours. Any questions or comments in taking this Article 13 up next? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. It is a vote. Ms. McNamara, I recognize you. No, that was a majority vote.
Thank you. I'd like to have Article 14 brought forward in the agenda and put between Article 6 and Article 7 after Article 13, if it's agreeable. If it could be second, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Mr. O'Leary seconds that. This, again, is debatable. Any questions or comments with regard to moving Article 14 to follow Article 13, taking them out of order? There being none, requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. It is a vote, a majority vote. Okay, so let's take up Article 13. Article 13. I'm sorry, point of order? I can't hear you. Come down to the mic, please, John. Thank you.
John O'Leary, Precinct 3. Usually at the beginning of the meeting, we have a mention of how many meeting members are present and everything, the quorum is present. I didn't hear that. Was it mentioned?
I don't usually announce the number of people here. I don't know the exact number. I know I'm informed by the vote by the League of Women Voters that we have a majority. I know that.
Okay, but I didn't hear that said.
Yeah, I don't usually, but
Thank you.
is there somebody present that knows how many attendees? Oh, Laura has it. 123. There you go. Yeah, thank you very much. 123 members are present. Okay, Article 13, it is regularly moved and seconded that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to petition the General Court for special legislation to amend the town charter to create a sewer and water advisory board and approve Article 13 as printed in the warrant. Article 13 is a petition of Alice Susan Lawson, a private petition. Ms. Lawson, Finance Committee vote, please.
The Finance Committee voted favorable action 11-1-2.
Select Board.
The Select Board vote was favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you. Ms. Lawson, would you like to speak to this issue?
Is this on? Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sue, I think that the other microphone is on, too. I'm pretty sure.
Is this on? No.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Okay. So my name is Susan Lawson. I've been in RTM for Precinct 2 for nearly 30 years and a member of the Finance Committee for just about 15 years. I mention these facts to establish a foundation for why I stand before you as a proponent for Article 13 on the warrant, which is before you tonight. On Tuesday, March 10th, Josette Burke and I submitted a citizen's petition to the Select Board with a request that it be placed on the warrant for the upcoming town meeting. The same issue was sponsored by the Select Board and presented at the fall town meeting, but the warrant article failed after a tie vote. Because an RTM had called the question, a number of RTMs at the fall town meeting, including me, did not have an opportunity to address the matter. Josette and I believe that then and now, there has been a great deal of misinformation surrounding the proposal to transition from an elected sewer and water commission to an appointed board. Tonight I will present evidence and arguments in support of such a change. My voice is scratchy because I think I have allergies. At the outset, I wish to make it crystal clear that the citizens' petition that Josette Burke and I filed was not made in concert with the Finance Committee or any other group. We obtained the requisite number of signatures and moved forward without sponsorship from any other members of the Finance Committee. Simply being a member of a committee does not mean that your actions speak for that group. Full stop. Once an article, any article, has been placed on the warrant for town meeting, the Finance Committee is called upon to vote on it. The Finance Committee acts on every single article prior to town meeting. If the Finance Committee votes in favor of an article, as in this case our petition, it does not mean that members of the Finance Committee have somehow been transformed into co-petitioners. The fact that the current chair of the Sewer and Water Commission has filed a complaint with the state alleging a violation of the open meeting law by the Finance Committee for its purported role in the citizens' petition represents a glaring example of, at the very least, gross incompetence. This complaint was filed without any supporting evidence, and it makes a series of allegations that are patently false. Nevertheless, the town of Walpole will be required to answer the complaint, thereby wasting staff time and funds necessary for legal services. It is important to note that over a long period of time, both Josette...
Raise your point of order.
It sounds like she's saying she's filed the petition because she's upset that the Sewer and Water Committee has filed a complaint against them.
That's not what she said.
I thought that's what I just heard. Then why are we talking about a complaint? Why, I just want to hear why she filed the petition. She's talking about a complaint. Why are we talking about a complaint, Mr. Moderator?
I think she has the right to do so in presenting her. She's presenting an article which she has sponsored. I think we'll give her some leeway to let her know. Thank you for your point of order.
The reason I'll answer the question that I raised this is that the filing of a complaint based on misinformation and falsities is evidence that supports the petition for dismantling this commission and going in another direction. It's important to note that over a long period of time, both Josette Burke and I have watched or attended many Sewer and Water Commission meetings, although I must acknowledge that Josette has watched or attended many more than I have. Why is this fact relevant? It's relevant because over the course of many years, we have witnessed a steady deterioration in the way in which the Sewer and Water Commission has been operating. This is based on direct observation, and for those of you who have watched or attended Sewer and Water Commission meetings, you know exactly what I am talking about. The change that we are seeking through our petition is not based on personal animus. We do not seek to disparage or disrespect anyone. Nevertheless, as citizens and as RTMs, we feel duty-bound to raise the alarm concerning the extreme level of dysfunction that we have witnessed at meetings of the Sewer and Water Commission. And frankly, since the fall town meeting, things have gone from bad to worse. What am I referring to? One, at least 2 commissioners have not reliably attended scheduled posted meetings. In fact, these 2 members failed to attend the meeting of January 27th, 2026, wherein rates were set. I was at that meeting. After the rates were set, pandemonium broke out at the next meeting on February 9th, when the 2 absent members accused the 3 members who set the rates, by a vote of 2-1, of acting illegally and without authority. For the record, a quorum of a 5-member commission is 3. Notwithstanding this fact, there was a level of dissension and discord at this meeting that was nothing short of disturbing. This was followed by a 5-minute meeting on March 9th, wherein 3 of the 5 commissioners abruptly walked out. At the next meeting, on March 23rd, there was a lot of argument about approving the minutes of a prior meeting, not because the minutes were inaccurate, but because some of the commissioners disagreed with decisions that had been reached and duly recorded in the minutes. At this same meeting,
Please rise. It's point of order. I gave her 10 minutes to make the presentation. And I might suggest that, Ms. Lawson, we move on to the substance of this rather than the content of the meetings, if that you don't mind. I think your point has been made.
At the same meeting, a commissioner claimed without evidence that an MWRA line had been installed on Route 1 to provide water to the stadium in Foxborough. This erroneous contention was repeatedly corrected by other members of the commission as well as by the DPW director. 2, commissioners are often observed failing to adhere to the posted agenda or to follow Robert's rules in the conduct of their meetings. This, even though many of the commissioners have served for years, and in some cases decades. Most residents would be dismayed to observe a lack of understanding of basic rules by some commissioners and by their unwillingness and/or inability to follow proper procedures and decorum. On September 4th, 2025, after the chair indicated that the group would go into executive session, one commissioner pointed out that they could not do so because this was not included on the posted agenda. When the chair proceeded to do so anyway, the objecting commissioner left rather than engage in improper conduct. On September 15th, I filed a complaint alleging a violation of the open meeting law, and that case remains before the state. The Sewer and Water 3 has refused to meet with Finance Committee upon request, and the Commission has delayed in setting rates and in submitting the budget on many occasions. The most recent debacle is a decision to revisit the rates that were properly set on January 7th, 2026. 4, Commissioners have repeatedly relied on one-time funds to artificially hold rates down, thereby reducing ongoing investment in water main replacement and treatment plant upgrades. Now, let's turn to some of the arguments and in some cases outright misinformation that has been floating around town with respect to this proposed change. First, this is not a power move by the Select Board. Members of an appointed advisory board would get guidance and direction from our very capable and competent Sewer and Water Department employees, just as members of the Sewer and Water Commission do at present. The advisory board would in turn make recommendations to the Select Board. The advisory board would not be setting rates. The members of the Select Board, who have been duly elected through townwide elections, would set rates. Budgets and rates would still go through Finance Committee review and be subject to votes at town meeting. Second, there would be no commingling of funds between Sewer and Water Enterprise Fund and town finances. How can we be sure of this? Because it would be illegal under state law to do so. And our town accountant and finance director will attest to this. Third, some are floating the idea that this change should only be made via townwide election, and to do otherwise would somehow be an illegitimate exercise of power. I disagree. This town meeting is the legislative body for the town of Walpole. We were elected by citizens in each of our precincts to make informed decisions on their behalf. Let's not abdicate our responsibility to the citizens we represent. Fourth, some have argued that we already voted at the last town meeting and the measure failed. Yes, it failed because the tie vote after debate was cut off, as I mentioned earlier. Fifth, why not have a recall for any commissioners who are perceived as not performing well? This argument betrays a lack of understanding of the history of the Sewer and Water Commission. It has been historically very hard to attract qualified candidates to run for the Sewer and Water Commission. In fact, there are 2 vacancies on the May ballot, and yet only 1 individual is running. Year after year, there are virtually no contested elections for the Sewer and Water Commission.
Point of order, sir.
Please rise and state your point of order.
10 minutes are over. 8:17 she started, it's 8:28.
I'm going to give her a couple of minutes, Pradeep. I'm not doing that.
So
No.
I would like to make a statement here. Any personal attack on any commissioner needs to be addressed immediately after her statement. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't catch that. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please, sir? And Sue, you've got about a minute left.
The member is making personal attack on the qualification of the commissioners, and that has to be addressed after her statement.
I did not hear a personal attack. If there is a personal attack, I will rule the speaker out of order, trust me. But I did not hear a personal attack. I heard a general comment as to the quality of the meetings. And I think that is within the realm of decency, but I don't think there was a personal attack there. If there was, then there will be a,
There was on qualification.
a what?
Qualification of the commissioners.
Okay. It's noted. Go ahead.
Year after year, there are virtually no contested elections for the Sewer and Water Commission, which means that whoever is on the ballot is routinely elected. So why would an appointed board be better? We believe that there are many qualified residents of this town who are not interested in running for election, but who would be willing to serve as a member of a Sewer and Water Advisory Board reporting to the Select Board. In fact, a current commissioner who has chosen not to run for re-election has stated his willingness to serve on an appointed board if asked to do so. I hope we will hear from him later this evening. The time has come to take action to ensure that our town is able to properly analyze problems and propose the best solutions for the many complex and critical sewer and water issues facing our town in the years ahead. This is a chance to have those responsible for the millions of dollars in our Sewer and Water Enterprise Fund operating in a manner that is efficient, effective, cooperative, and transparent. The town of Walpole has been awarded a AAA bond rating, which is evidence of the effective way in which our town's finances have been managed. We can expect the same financial expertise and prudence to be applied to management of the Sewer and Water Enterprise Fund under an advisory board answerable to the Select Board. Change is hard, but when it is clear that change is necessary, this town body would be wise to support the transition to a system that will allow Walpole to deal with sewer and water business in a thoughtful and professional manner. And as a side note, many other towns in the Commonwealth, such as Medway, Norton, Norwood, and Canton, have already made such a change. This is becoming the standard approach in Massachusetts. We would not be an outlier. I thank you.
Thank you. Questions and comments with regard to Article 13? Mr. Hamilton.
Hamilton, Precinct 5. I find it very appalling that we are going to take elected people and take them out of office. The voters have an opportunity to vote for the people that they feel would do a good job. I was elected for the first time in May. If there was something at the meeting where I asked a question that they found out of order, I apologize for that. I was very interested in knowing what the facts were for the hearing. And I tried to do my best in that month to learn enough to act responsibly. And this shabby treatment is not deserved by the 5 members of the Sewer and Water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Sorry. Yes, ma'am. Josette Burke. Sorry, Josette. Mental block.
Josette Burke, Precinct 4, also a member of the Finance Committee for 16 or 17 years. I have received numerous emails, as many others of you possibly have. I'm not mentioning names. I'm just giving you the caption of this particular one, which specifically addressed Articles 8 and Articles 13. It's someone who is from Precinct 4, obviously, and has the 2 concerns about Article 8 and Article 13. I'll address Article 13. I encourage you, if you have not already, to review recent Water and Sewer Commission meetings available through Walpole Media. In particular, the January 7th, February 9th, and March 9th meetings, highlighting ongoing dysfunction. It is concerning that a body responsible for setting water rates for the entire town is struggling to reach agreement, even on basic matters such as approving meeting minutes. This level of disorganization raises serious concerns about governance and oversight. For these reasons, I strongly urge you to vote yes on creating an appointed advisory board. Thank you for your time and consideration. And I think this individual, who is one of 7 that I received, and he also identified himself as someone who worked in the water, sewer, and drainage industry for over 20 years. Potentially could be a candidate for the advisory board. So it's not somebody who's just sitting home eating bonbons, as I was told by somebody. This is serious. As Susan has alluded to, I've gone in the past to many water and sewer meetings. I also watch them at home through the media, Walpole media. And it is a disgrace to watch some of the going on of supposedly professional people. The Finance Committee has a 15-member board, and we are not ever, in all the years I've been associated with it and the changes that we have had any of the occurrences, and I know there are many people here who have been on the board with me, as what we have observed through the water and sewer. And I think with the major issues coming up of the WMRA, that we really and truly have to look very closely at this with the big decisions to be made in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abbott?
Thank you. Bill Abbott, Precinct 6, also a member of the Sewer and Water Commission. First, this is not the first time that we've changed how the water and sewer departments, where they're reporting or whether they're in a standalone commission. But the present town charter gives the Sewer and Water Commission exclusive charge and control over the water and sewer operations. It really does not reflect what actually takes place. A typical meeting consists of listening to about a status report, approving minutes, responding to planning board's requests for comments. Generally, those comments are, we agree with what the town engineer has stated. We only have one employee, the part-time secretary. The reality is that the sewer and water departments are managed by a very experienced, certified, qualified professionals reporting to the administration. The departments not only perform their daily operation of the systems, they develop the water and sewer budgets and the rates that will support those budgets. They develop the 5-year capital plan. They decide when and what maintenance needs to be done. They decide what projects will be done and when they'll be done. The only major capital item in the past 10 or 15 years that involved the Sewer and Water Commission to any extent that would relate to having exclusive charge and control is the potential of getting the MWA water to supplement our local sources. This is something that I would expect the advisory board would be involved in. The other normal activities that I laid out are something that are handled by our water and sewer department. I will be voting in favor of the citizens petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Yes, sir. Mr. Carroll, please.
Okay. I have a question for the Finance Committee. Is the Finance Committee going to pick these people? Is that what's going on here?
Mr. Johnson?
Who's going to be picking these people?
It's specifically laid out in the warrant language that was provided to you and all the residents of Walpole.
Okay.
It's specifically made up of 2 representatives as made by the Finance Committee, 2 representatives, I believe, from the Select Board, and 1 representative from the moderator. I just want to verify that with Town Council. Did I get that right?
I'm against it. I'm against this because I think the town is taking over this. And once the town takes it over, I think the 5 board member that I went and sat in front, I was trying to do something with them, they're better off alone. I don't think these people that are picking them, it's all going back to the town. And I hate to say it, but the town kind of takes money and kind of hides it in the details. And I think it's wrong for us. I think it should be left alone to 5 members. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Nemish.
Damish Precinct 7. So from what I see, this article has not changed since it failed to pass in the fall. So my question is, how was this allowed to come up again in front of this body?
I'm going to defer that question to town meeting, to town council, because that question has been posed to me by email. And just so people know, the moderator does not set the warrant. It's the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board that sets the warrant. The question from the moderator's perspective is it properly on the warrant? Is it properly before the body? My ruling is that it is properly on the warrant. But I'm going to defer it to council and let him address that issue.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Through you to the meeting. This article was petitioned by a citizen's petition, and therefore, in accordance with Chapter 39, Section 10 of the general laws, it is required, once it's been properly submitted with the requisite number of signatures, to be placed on the warrant. Repetitive petition issues arise with respect to zoning articles. There's specific language in the Zoning Act with respect to repetitive petitions. That is not the case with general bylaws or general articles that are placed on the warrant, so that's not relevant to this discussion. This is properly on the warrant, in my
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. A couple of quick points. When we voted this down in the fall, there was a chance for reconsideration at that time, so it could have been brought back right away. What I heard was there were people in line who did not get to speak, and that does happen quite often, unfortunately. So that was an option that could have been done at that point, to point out we want to give these people additional chances to speak. And also 36 people voted in favor of this at the fall, but yet none of them chose to step forward and run for two of the 2 slots that are up for election this spring. So I find it concerning. I sat back and I thought this would be good to see if 2 people actually want to actively get engaged to fix what they're saying the problem is. But sadly to say, that did not happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Damish. And Mr. Damish, you may recall just there was a number of people that wished to speak on that article, but the question was moved, and as you know, once it's moved, we have to vote on that. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do recall a number of years ago we had a very hot article, and there must have been 9 people left in the line. So
yeah.
I guess in the future, maybe we could do the reconsideration right away for some of those people who left the line.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McNamara.
Hi, Lucy McNamara, Precinct 6. So I think the thing that catches the heel, so to speak, on this is the word on the street. As I talk to people in my condo association, which is where my community is, there's a concern that large financial decisions are made without the residents really knowing that they're occurring. And I think the fact that this has occurred, such as the Walpole High School project, gives residents a pause, and I think puts a blemish on some of the very good achievements in this town. A AAA bond rating is not a common thing in the Commonwealth. Only 14 to 25 cities and towns have that bond rating of the 351 municipalities counted in this state. But I think it does need to be brought out that people feel that there isn't the transparency that should be, or they would desire to have, in this very fiscally responsive community. And I think that that sort of blurs the line of where we're going. Because if I'm talking to people in my condo association and they're saying, why is this coming up? These are the type of things they're referring to, which to me means there needs to be a new guardrail. That when you have a project that's 25% of income from taxes, or you have a projection of a project that could be 40 or 50% of a year's income, that needs to be voted on by the town. And those are guardrails that we don't have in this town, to my understanding, and perhaps I have to put that to town council. Do we have guardrails like that within our town bylaws?
Council?
Mr. Moderator, I'm not quite sure what the question is.
So say that we have $93 million in tax revenue, and say that the MWRA projected expenses with all the little doodads we would add to it is $42 million, which is about, I'd say, 40% of our tax revenue. My thought is, when things come up like that, the town, citizens, residents need to vote on that because of the size of the allotment. Because that takes away this thing of whether a board or a commission or anything is doing their job. It puts it to the residents of the town to say whether they want that responsibility taken on by the town. So is there such a bylaw in our town to say that things, for instance, if the projected cost or the yearly cost is above 15% or 25% of tax revenue, that should be put to a town-wide vote?
Okay. Do you know if such a bylaw exists in our homeroom charter?
No. Mr. Moderator, through you, the town has extensive financial procedures that are followed through the town administrator's office, the finance department generally, that result in matters that are subject to action of town meeting for appropriations. And you see many of them on the warrant tonight. Those are brought before town meeting. So one of the functions of town meeting is to consider and appropriate funds and to determine how the town's tax dollars are to be expended. We just went through an entire budget, I might add, without a single comment, and that was a substantial undertaking. That's a significant role of town meeting. So that's the significant guardrail that's in place, that in accordance with state law, there are extensive state laws that govern how funds come into the town, where they are deposited, and how they may be used, including funds that come through a sewer and water enterprise fund. Those are all laid out in statute, and then the results are presented to town meeting, and tonight, town meeting has already acted on those matters.
I agree. Town meeting has acted on those manners. And yet, as I am talking to people in my community, there is discord, there is dissatisfaction, and there is a perception that things are being done without transparency. And I think to address that is what I'm talking
Please
about.
rise your point of order.
Thank you.
Okay. But she has completed her comments. So I'm going to let that go. Mr. Fasanello.
Mr. Moderator, good evening.
Good evening.
The last time this town was asked to abolish the elected commission, the vote ended in a tie. A tie. Think about that. Half this room was not willing to give up an elected board, Mr. Moderator. Half this town said, wait, it doesn't feel right. And today, Mr. Moderator, we are being asked to do it again. This time, the argument is being made that it's mismanagement of the water and sewer system. I was surprised when I saw the petitioner's article that it talked about management, because the reality is the Sewer and Water Commission does not ever manage the system. The commission does not hire any staff. It doesn't fire anyone. It doesn't approve contracts. It doesn't supervise operations. All these responsibilities belong solely to the town administrator, Mr. Moderator. So, I ask you, how can we hold an elected policy board responsible for operational management that it does not control? The commission's role Mr. Moderator, is to set policy, to protect our aquifer, to safeguard our water supply for future generations, to set fair rates, to grant abatements when needed, to make thoughtful, long-term decisions about one of the most crucial resources this town has. That's what the commission does, and that's what we've been elected to do. So, if there are concerns about mismanagement, then those concerns should be directed where the responsibility actually lies, not used as a reason to eliminate an elected board. Because what this article does, it doesn't fix management, it doesn't improve oversight, it removes your voice. And that should concern every voter in this room. If this were truly about improving the system, we would be talking about solutions, clear, targeted solutions that address the actual problem. But, Mr. Moderator, instead, we are being asked to take a drastic step, abolishing an elected body based on a claim that doesn't match the fact. So we have to ask why. Why are we here tonight? Because the reason doesn't hold up, and that's a question that we should ask. Is there some kind of agenda that we're missing here or something like that? Town meeting is about accountability, it's about transparency, it's about preserving the public's voice in how this town is governed. On a personal note, on my last election, 1,300 people voted for me. It was a contested election, okay? That's 1,300 plus more, actually. And it was contested. It was the only board on the ballot that time that was contested. The media and the government who sponsors that sometimes tells you must vote. It's your duty to vote. Go out and vote. Your vote counts. Your vote counts. But you know what? It doesn't if this article is passed, because those 1,300 people who voted for me, their voice is null and void. It's gone because people in this room voted to get rid of their voice. And that's not what we've been telling the people. Your vote is sacred. It should not be taken away in any manner, shape, or form. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fasanella. Ms. Gallivan.
Nancy Gallivan, Precinct 7.
Nancy, you have to use the other mic.
Oh, sorry. Nancy Gallivan, Precinct 8. I've thought a lot about this petition that's in front of us because I really do believe in democracy, and I wonder about what the best thing to do is. I am in support of the petition for a couple of reasons. I think that Lucy McNamara is correct in that it's hard for the average person to find out what's going on in some ways right now because people don't take the time to listen to all the meetings that are on TV. We could. I don't, and I think the average person just doesn't have time to do that. In Walpole, it's a good election if we get 15% of the people to turn out to vote. We don't really have a local newspaper that covers local government types of news. And I know that at first it really felt undemocratic to me for a group of 150 of us to decide. But at least 150 of us are hearing like both sides of the argument here tonight. I think that that's what we are elected to do. I think that I know many of my friends speak to me about the fact that they just don't have time to become informed, and it is hard without a local newspaper to get the information that you would want to make a complicated decision. So that's one piece of it. But to me, I've been a town meeting member for a long time. The area of water and sewer is not my expertise. And I rely really heavily on the speaker, Bill Abbott, who spoke a couple of minutes ago. He has been able consistently to speak professionally, in a concise way, in a non-biased way. He's performed tremendously in a way that has helped me to decide some complicated decisions. If somebody like that is telling us that we should make a change, I get that change is difficult. I've thought the whole thing through. But if somebody like that who's been sitting through this for years is saying that he thinks it's time for us to make a change, that's enough for me. That's the main reason I'm going to support this.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher. Mr. O'Leary.
John O'Leary, Precinct 3. I'm opposed to this article. Main reason is it's taking away the voice of the people, our town residents. The town residents elect the Sewer and Water Commission. It isn't being appointed by the Finance Committee, town administrator, town moderator. We're taking the rights of almost 20,000 people, and we're saying 7 people are going to make your decision of what you can do in water and sewer now. You no longer have any say. You cannot elect anyone to replace who we say. We are in control now. So we're taking away the rights of the town meeting representatives, the town residents, and we're putting it in the hands of less than 3/100 of the town. 3/100% of the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hickey.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, before I speak, I'd like to make a motion for a roll call vote for this article.
Okay. Mr. Hickey, do you have a second? I need 20 RTM members to stand in support of his motion. There being 20. Okay, no problem. I had the occasion to speak with Mr. Hickey prior to the town meeting, and he told me he was going to ask for a roll call vote. And I assured him that once he made that motion, and by the way, this requires a simple majority to vote, and it is not, it's not debatable, and it's not amendable. So it's a question now to the body, if you wish to make this vote on Article 13 a roll call vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. It is a vote. It's a majority vote. I also assured Mr. Hickey he'd have an opportunity to speak to the substance of this article after he made the motion. So the floor is yours, Mr. Hickey.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm sure everyone's thrilled. I echo what others have said earlier, which is this is taking away the rights of the voters, pure and simple. That's all it is. And I've heard the arguments, we've heard the justifications, but there's been no explanation as to why. There are plenty of ways to do this that do involve the voters, right? All the misconduct and bad actions and all the stories about the meetings that we heard. Nobody wants to do a recall. Nobody wants to do the work. They just want to take their ball and go home and say the 123 people here get to decide the future of Walpole's elections. Not only that, the voters don't get to pick. The voters don't get a voice, but we're going to send it up to Beacon Hill where they get to vote. We don't get to vote, but they get to vote. Right? I think they've been pretty clear in recent history that they're not exactly following the will of the voters, and now we're going to do the same thing here. We've got people on that board, as Mr. Fasanel said, 1,300 voters. None of us got 1,300 votes, but we're going to take those votes away permanently because no one wants to do the work. So I think the challenge here is the problems that we see with the Water and Sewer Board, but we have to take ourselves out of the present moment with the current Select Board and the current Water and Sewer Commission. Say, what's it going to look like when there's people that we don't like in those seats, and they're appointing their friends to do the things they want to do? So removing accountability is never a good thing, okay? And we are removing a layer of accountability that the voters have. We already have an appointed Finance Committee. Now the appointed Finance Committee is going to appoint appointed sewer and water people, 2 extra layers of no accountability. Voters have no power whatsoever with respect to what those people do, what they act on, or what they recommend. And we hope that there's good actors on the Select Board, which right now we have 5 good actors in the Select Board, but we won't always. And then what happens? So, there's a process here to take this to the voters. The petitioners knew that. The Select Board knew that in the fall. It's an intentional choice not to involve the voters. And I think we have to ask ourselves why. And because there's no actual answer to that, I think we have to assume the worst and we vote accordingly. So I'm a no.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey. Mr. Trudeau?
Mark Trudell, Precinct 4, member of the Finance Committee. I take exception to some comments that were made previously. The petitioner never said that the Sewer and Water Department was being mismanaged. It was saying that the commissioners were dysfunctional and couldn't work together. And I take exception that town employees are being thrown under the bus when they had nothing to do with this. I also take exception to the presentation of, yes, we want to have Select Board and Finance Committee and Town Moderator select this group. I don't like that. There was a reason I voted against it the last time, but something has to be done to eliminate the dysfunction and make the Sewer and Water Department become something that people aspire to being part of and not just shaking their heads about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trudeau. Ms. Khatib?
Yes, thank you. Sarah Khatib, Precinct 8. I think we should think about a town charter. The town charter is how we have agreed as a town, how we want our town run. These are not small things, and making a change to how we're going to run the town is actually a big thing. It's a big thing, and we shouldn't take it lightly. We're not changing something small, we're changing the structure of our town. And, you know, building off the points from Representative Hickey, like, these are huge questions, and many people in this body raised them last fall. They weren't followed up. But in fact, most changes to town charter are done through a different process. It's typically done with, let's say, town meeting, but that town meeting vote has to be a 2/3 vote, and that's followed up by a town-wide vote, which would be appropriate, I think, for this case. If folks want to make the case that this would be better for the town, that we want to change how the town is structured, then we go through this body, approve it 2/3, and then bring it to the voters. Interestingly, the town of Wellfleet, Massachusetts town on the Cape, I believe, recently did just this. They gave powers of sewer and water commissioners to their select board. And they did it through a 2/3 town meeting vote followed by a town-wide vote. It passed, actually. You know, whatever it was, a couple hundred votes, but it passed. And that, I think, is the appropriate way, and then we can talk with our neighbors and say, like, we decided as a town, we made this choice to change how our town is run, and that's how it should be. I'm against this. I think it's not appropriate for us to make this huge change just here tonight and then send it to the legislators who, you know, honestly don't do hardly anything. So why are we giving that power to them? So I'm against it.
Thank you very much. Mr. O'Neill. Then to you, Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and through you to the body. I'm Jim O'Neill, Precinct 8. I'm in favor of the Citizens Petition, Article 13. I have to say I have tremendous respect for Sue Lawson and Josette Burke, and I give them credit for bringing the Citizens Petition forward. I think Susan did a fine job laying out the case for change. As usual, her points were well thought out and highly credible and fact-based. The points that I would like to emphasize are, and I had 8, but the truth is, my first 4...
What's your point of order? He qualified himself as an independent representative town meeting member, not for the Board of Selectmen. Thank you.
Yes, I specifically said Precinct 8. As I was saying, I had 8 points that I was going to make, but 4 of them have already been well made by others who have spoken in favor of this article. So mercifully, I'm going to turn my page and go to page 2.
And Mr. O'Neill, I want to thank you for that because we've already been into the realm of repeat a number of times. I think the comments, and if I could, it's a point of order from the moderator, the comments about the conduct of the Sewer and Water Commission have been made clearly. I don't think we need any additional comments with regard to that, number one. I also think the fact that this is an issue for many members here, that the vote is being taken away from the public, that's been made very clear and quite eloquently done by this body. So I'm asking future comments revolve around, not around, but without those comments being made, because I think we've got the point. So please, Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So on to my point 5. There are those who will insist that if we move to an advisory committee, we'll somehow lose transparency and accountability. This is simply not true. Meetings of the advisory committee will be open to the public and televised on Walpole Media and YouTube. The open meeting law will apply, requiring posted agenda and published minutes. The advisory board will report to the select board, maintaining accountability to the voters. The role of town administrator is unchanged, and the town administrator will continue to be the agent of the advisory board as he is to the Sewer and Water Board today. All current processes, abatements, rate hearings, rate setting, will continue under the advisory committee and the select board with the same level of public input and accountability as today. My 6th point, I think it is very significant, and I think we should really think hard about this, that the Finance Committee has twice, fall and spring, voted to support moving to a Water and Sewer Advisory Board. In both cases, FinCom has recommended favorable action with supermajority votes. As we know, FinCom's job is to review and assess the warrant articles, ask the tough questions, debate the answers, take public input, and make recommendations to us, the town meeting members. The fact that FinCom has not once but twice reviewed this question and twice recommended that town meeting should vote favorable action to move to an advisory board should not be dismissed lightly. We should listen to the FinCom and follow their recommendation. Point 7, I also find it significant that a sitting member of the Water and Sewer Commission, Mr. Abbott, and a former member have voted to support moving to an advisory board. Having 2 people with direct experience on water and sewer commissions telling us that telling us that we should institute the advisory board is an important data point, and we should listen to them as well. Finally, the fact that last fall's town meeting we had a tie vote on this question demonstrates that there is a great deal of agreement that moving to an advisory board is a good idea among town meeting members. In the 6 months since the tie vote, the situation has not improved. As town meeting members, it is our job to make decisions on behalf of the residents of the town. We are the leaders of the town, and leaders have to lead. It's time to do the job we were elected to do and vote favorable action on Article 13. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Mr. Fisher?
Hi, Jeff Fisher, Precinct 5, former FinCom, former Sewer and Water Commissioner. So, as a former Sewer and Water Commissioner, I spent 3 years on the board, obviously elected. When I joined 4 years ago, our charge was to look at alternative water sources. That was our charge. It had just come out of Springtown meeting. Money was appropriated for that specifically. You know, my entire time that I sat on sewer and water, the focus was on MWRA, which was a good focus because, you know, MWRA eliminated the entrance fees. You know, it became more economically prudent to actually look at that as an option. So one of the things that I was always kind of amiss about was the fact that we didn't continue to look at other alternative water sources. So Article 8 that we're going to vote on in a few minutes, hopefully in a few minutes, is going to talk about the MWRA connection, right? And, you know, one of my big fears is that if that fails, we still don't have any work done on any other alternative water sources. Truth of the matter is this MWRA Article 8 should have probably come to us about 2 years ago. That's how long and painful the process has been, getting through Sewer and Water Commission, getting the votes done, getting the sites established, the hydraulic studies, and just the prolonged process to get here. You know, we actually voted on the Mylod Street location at one point in time, and only for 2 meetings later to to open it back up and look at other locations. So there's been a lot of delays on that front. You know, I don't take this vote lightly. I'm a former sewer and water commissioner. I enjoyed my time on the board. I tried to do the right thing, but I do think it's time for a change. I'll be
Thank you, sir.
supporting it.
We have 2 more speakers, then I think we're going to put this to a roll call vote, but I want to make sure you folks get heard. I also want to make a point of order. Under the Home Rule Charter, I want to go back to Ms. Khatib's comments. Under the Home Rule Charter, there is a process for a referendum. If this body votes this and votes to eliminate the elected body and have an appointed body, there is an opportunity for this to go to the voters under Section 13 of the Home Rule Charter. I just want to bring that to your attention as a point of information. Also, I was asked by sewer and water commissioners as to whether or not this article was properly before this body. It is, in my opinion, and this discussion is within the scope of the article. And I also wanted to clarify that there was information suggested that this was a petition of the Finance Committee. This is not a petition of the Finance Committee. The person who offered this or proffered this happens to be a member of the Finance Committee, but her proffer of this was as an individual ratepayer and citizen of the town of Walpole, not as a member of the Finance Committee. So I want to make that point of information. Do you have a point of order, sir? No. Do you have a point of order? Okay, what's your point of order?
Does the member of Finance Committee filed the written disclosure with the town clerk before appearing in the meeting?
I'm sorry, say again?
Does the member of Finance Committee sign a written disclosure of conflict of interest before appearing in the meeting?
I'll defer to town council on that. Council?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I think, as you just said, the petition was submitted by a member of the Finance Committee acting as a private individual. So I'm not aware of any conflict of interest, and that's a matter to be determined by the individual. Conflict of interest run to the individual.
So did she file the disclosure with the town clerk before appearing in the meeting?
You would have to confer with the town clerk. That's not a matter for town meeting at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Because the person submitted this in her individual capacity, there is no conflict of interest. She's not doing this as a member of the Finance Committee, and the information that has been proffered to the public on that issue is flat out wrong. And I want to make that point of information known to this body. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Baldo. Oh, her maiden name. That's, boy, we go back. Miss Terry. That's 57 years ago.
I know.
Mrs. Thornton, you've got the floor.
Terry Thornton, Precinct 3. Through you, Mr. Moderator, can I ask the town clerk how many registered voters there are?
Mr. Moderator, there's about 19,000.
About
Okay.
19,000 registered
So
voters.
19,000, and that's of people that are registered to vote. And only 1,300 elected Mr. Fasanello. And
But they liked him.
I don't say this with
They liked Pat.
disrespect. I don't say this with disrespect, but after selectmen and then maybe school committee, people don't care. They stop voting. The number of voters drops significantly that check off a selectman, check off a school committee, and then don't bother with the rest of the ballot. Maybe they do town meeting members. And 1,300 out of 19,000 possible people only participated. I do agree with Mr. Abbott. It's time for a change. It's time that we appoint people that have an interest, and I'm not saying the people that are on the board now don't. They possibly could get appointed. But it's to say it's taking away from the voters, by and large, don't care about sewer and water.
Thank you, Mrs. Thornton. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. My apology.
I'm Shannon McCarthy, Precinct 3.
Thank you, Shannon.
So I voted in favor of Article 7 back in the fall. I thought the reasoning was very sound. However, I did hear very valid concerns about bringing this to the voters of the town directly. And so I watched the Finance Committee meeting on this, and I didn't see the question asked, so I wanted to ask it here to through you, Mr. Moderator, to the Select Board, whether the Select Board ever considered a townwide vote after the article failed in the fall.
Mr. Barrett.
So we never discussed it in one of our meetings, so no. I could give you my personal opinion on that afterwards, but no, we never took it up again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're ready to put this to vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Conroy. Formerly known as Ms. Alexandra.
I knew you were going to say that, Jim. You still have the same last name.
That's
don't
right,
you?
that's right.
Judy Conroy, Precinct 7. Procedural question for the moderator,
Yes.
possibly town council. Would it be possible to table the article as it stands and make a substitute motion to follow the charter route that Ms. Katib mentioned, changing the charter, coming back to town meeting, putting it before the town meeting? If it passes by 2/3, it goes to the voters.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. This was a question that Sarah Katib posed to me, and we corresponded over the weekend. And I'm not trying to be difficult, Judy, but to do that would, if the substitute motion would be outside the scope of this article, because, and we can have Mark weigh in on this, but we spent a lot of time discussing this. Because there is nothing in this warrant, in any of the articles, which would notify the taxpayers of the town that this might go out to a vote to them, there is no mechanism that would allow us to do that. Now, as I mentioned just a moment ago, if this was to pass favorably in terms of the people that wanted to get rid of the Sewer and Water Commission, you could bring it to a referendum vote, but there's a lot of steps you have to do that. So when the petitioner chose to do this, there was a couple of routes they could take. One was this route. Another route is to put it onto a ballot question. That's the petitioner's prerogative, and the petitioner in this case decided to do it this way, for whatever reasons. So unless, Mark, am I stating this correctly, counsel?
Yes, you are, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. So the answer to your question is, we couldn't even offer this to the body to vote on, to put it out to a town-wide ballot, even if there was a desire to do so, because it's outside the scope of the article.
Okay, I guess that's not what I was asking. Could we table this article?
You can table. You can make a motion to table if you wish.
We'll table it and come back in the fall with a charter change to go through the whole route that we would normally do with charter.
Yeah, so I think your appropriate motion would be to table. Correct? Do you have a substitute motion to that effect? Do you want to put?
Do you need that in writing?
Yeah, I need it in writing, and I need a second.
I'm old school, but
Yeah.
I'll do it in writing.
No, I know what you're doing. I know what you want to do. Yeah, just give me 1 second. I want to confer. Okay, so Ms. Conroy is offering, and we'll give her a moment to write this up. Actually, you know, why don't we take, this might be a good time to give you a minute. Yeah, why don't we take 5 minutes, please, and don't leave the hall. Please do not leave the hall. 5 minutes while she's putting this together. Caucus on the precincts. We're in the middle of 13. We're just taking a brief break. We're in the middle of 13. There's a motion to table the question coming up from the floor now, and I'll entertain that motion. But I want to take a 5-minute break. Please do not leave. Caucus with the precincts, elect a Rules Committee member, and then write the name down, please, and then we'll convene. But don't leave the hall, please. Precinct 6 over here with Ms. McCormick. Precinct 3 over there with Mr. O'Leary. Where we got Precinct 1 is all set. You don't have to meet in Precinct 5. So Precincts 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Please caucus. Who knows?
Do you know the name of the young ladies that sang the
Precinct 4 is down front here, please, with Mr. Trudeau. Precinct 6, where is Precinct 6? Right in the middle. No, I know. Right. That's what she wants to do. Yeah, yeah. Precinct 2, where is Precinct 2 meeting? Up the back there. Thank you. Does everyone have a precinct to go to? Precinct 4. Precinct 4, down front. Okay, so I'll say that. Look, basically, the motion to table will effectively kill it, because the table, it's going to be, when we dissolve the meeting, that motion to table is dissolved as well. It's gone. Okay. And you can't find a future town meeting. Okay. Good. Thank you.
You are precinct 4? Okay. Thank you, Brad. All right, Jen, I got you.
That's Peter Drogan. Yeah, Drogan. Yes. The motion to table is,
Yep.
it's not debatable. We're just going just the one vote. 2/3.
I have the agenda. I'll check.
2/3.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay, folks, if we could resume your seats, please. And each of the precincts, would you please come up and see Laura, the town clerk, and let her know who your Rules Committee member is, please. Okay? Okay, please approach the town clerk and tell her who is your Rules Committee person. So we can get back to order, please.
Okay, very good.
Precinct 2. Do you have a? Oh, here he comes.
All right, so I lost the vote.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for being so cooperative and getting that information to us. Okay, back to Article 13. I have a motion. I have a motion from Judy Conroy, seconded by Mr. Lane, and the motion is to table Article 13. Now, this is non-debatable. This would require a two-thirds vote. This will not be a roll call, Mr. Hickey. There'll be no need on this particular issue. He's fine with that. So I'm going to put it to you first. This is a motion to table. Now, the effect of this motion to table would be, it sets it on the table. When we dissolve town meeting in a little while, that motion will die, if you will, and that will be it, okay? Now, simultaneous with this motion to table is a resolution that's been proffered by the same two individuals. And the resolution, which I will, I'll read to you, it says, a resolution to request the Select Board to begin charter change process relative to the Sewer and Water Commission changes as reflected in Article 13 of the spring annual town meeting. So it's a motion by that. So basically what the proponents are asking is the Select Board to look into a charter change regarding this issue. So you know that. That would be a simple majority vote on a resolution. It's a non-binding resolution. So my first proffer to you is Article 13 is a motion to table this, requires a two-thirds vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Oh, that's a tough one. We're going to have to go to a standing vote. I'm sorry. I can't call that. It's too close. So tellers, please rise. If I get the tellers, please. The tellers of the tellers. And, Laura, you're going to get this vote, okay? Yep. You're gonna get this. Tellers, those in favor of motion to table, please raise your... No, tellers, just the tellers. Okay, hold on. Joe and Bill, you all set? You get your little cards? If you're in favor of the motion to table, please raise your cards. Okay. No. Tellers only. Tellers only. Okay. I don't see, there's no tellers voting in favor of that. Tellers opposed to the, one. There's one. Sorry, Mr. Buckley. Yeah. Those tellers opposed to the motion to table, please raise your cards. Okay. All right. So it's a 1 to 5. That's a 1-5 vote. Okay. All those in favor of tabling the motion, please rise and remain standing until your vote is counted. Thank you. No. This is, hold on, tabling. Yeah, I'm sorry, did I misspeak? Those in favor of tabling the motion, please rise and remain standing. Joe and Bill, after you do your counting, confer with one another to make sure you have the exact count. All tellers, please. This is those in favor of tabling the motion, tabling this article. Okay? Do tellers, sorry. Do we have the vote tellers? Okay. Please remain standing. Are there any RTMs here on the? Okay.
We both got different numbers both times. So.
Okay, do it again, please.
It might be a little bit confusing with one side and the other side.
Yeah. So there was 1 in favor of tabling and 4 opposed. 5. Okay. Please be seated. Those in opposition to tabling Article 13, please
Mr. Chair,
rise.
would you like a report?
Please rise and remain standing. Excuse me?
Would you like a report of?
No, when you do the count.
Okay.
So now you got to count again.
Okay.
No, you're gonna, now, but Bill, now we're getting the other side of the vote.
Generally, we report to you what the first was.
No. Okay, we've got two. Yeah, we got two up here. All right, so we've got one teller who's in favor of tabling. We got 5 who are opposed. We got 2 board of selectmen members.
Okay,
These two, they're opposed.
they're opposed, okay.
Not to table. They do not want to table. This will be a close one. Okay, these are the folks that do not want to table this motion. Okay? Do you have your votes? Do you have your counts, Mr. O'Neill? Okay. Yep. They're getting those two.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're getting these guys?
Yeah. Okay, we'll take the vote, Mr. Buckley. We'll take the count.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, 8 in the affirmative, 24 in the negative.
So 8 voted for to table it, and 24 voted not to table it. It's on this side. Mr. Williams, on the left side.
On the left side, we have 12 motion to table and 6 against the motion.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. O'Neill, when you did your count, did you include the 2 people on the thing? Okay.
34 in favor, 32 against.
34 to table it, and 32 not to table it. Okay, let us do our numbers, and we'll figure out. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. 55 in favor of tabling, 67 opposed to tabling. Okay. The vote is 55 persons in favor of tabling this article and 67 persons opposed to tabling this article. It is not a vote. Therefore, we're going to do a roll call vote as requested by Mr. Hickey on Article 13. Article 13 requires a simple majority vote. We'll start. The clerk will call the roll. Point of order, sir.
I wrote down what you said. Can you give those numbers again by the section?
Sure. I have on the left section, I had 8 in favor of tabling, 12. Wait a minute. So this section here, sir. 8 over here in favor, 12 on the left, and then 34 in the middle, for a total of 55. And those opposed were 24, 6, and 32 for a number of 67. And I added into I had 1 teller who was in favor of the tabling, and 5 tellers were opposed to tabling. And my numbers were confirmed by the clerk. Okay. You satisfied? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is a roll call vote. I'm going to ask the clerk to come to the podium and call the roll. When your name is read, please say aye or nay.
This is for the article.
So just to be clear, this is for Article 13. It's a simple majority vote. If you're in favor of Article 13, you vote yes. If you're not in favor, you vote no. Okay? Point of order. Please. Excuse me? There's no move the question. The question that was submitted was to table Article 13. It has not, but I'm calling for a roll call vote as the moderator. It's my prerogative. We've had enough debate on this. I'm not moving the question. I'm just calling for the vote. Yeah. I mean, unless somebody has a burning issue to speak again, do you, sir, have something else you want to say?
Sean McCauley, Precinct 2, moved the question.
Oh, you're moving the question. I like your style, Mr. McCauley. The question has been moved. That requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The question is moved. Now we're on to the roll call vote. Here's the clerk.
Megan Ahegan? Elizabeth Barrows? Elizabeth Barrows? No. Erin Boyd? Erin Boyd? Nancy Diane?
Please speak louder. Can't hardly hear you.
Jennifer Geotzitz? I'm sorry? Thank you. Karen Guntampali? John Hassenjaeger? Jennifer Jackson? Mark Litz? Glenn Maffey? Jennifer McAndrew? Jennifer McAndrew? Nicole McDonough? Heather Miller? Pradeep Mishra? Jillian Morley? Jillian Morley? George O'Malley? Christine Walzer? Joseph Williams? Ronald Ardeen? Mark Breen? Ashley Clark? Ashley Clark? Thomas Coyne III? I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. Janet Danello? No. Michael Fanaki? Michael Fanaki? Barbara Gallivan? Yes. Deborah Glennon? James Gavatzos? James Gavatzos? Allison Hamilton? Nicole Lane? Alice Lawson? Grace Lincoln? Grace Lincoln? Sean McCauley? Deborah Pedersen? Chandler Sullivan? Ann Walsh? Laura Whalen Bratzitz? Glenn Williams? Glenn Williams? Sarah Willoughby? Sarah Willoughby? Ryan Augusta? Jane Bergen? Elizabeth Chase? Christine Cochran? Janet Fasanello? Patrick Fasanello? John Fisher? Justin Hayner? Justin Hayner? Patrick Hinton? Jennifer Hughley? Jennifer Karnakis? Shannon McCarthy? Michael McGrath? Betsy Mullen? John O'Leary? Martha Ryan? Maureen Smith? Terry Thornton? Catherine Turco? Anja Gothalis? Elizabeth Wooler? Richard Brown? Susan Brown? Josette Burke? William Carroll? Virginia Conley? Mary Cotter? Mary Cotter? Andrew Flowers? Andrew Flowers? Stephen Hendricks? Stephen Hendricks? Brad Hickey? Stephanie Matos? Stephanie Matos? Michael McCracken? Sarah McCracken? David Mellish? David Mellish? William O'Connell? Adrian Rogers? Jill Takis? Mark Trudell? Right halfway there. Harry Brusades? Erica Burden? Michael Shirella? Liana Cosgrove? Craig Dalton? Robert Shane Detremont? Peter Drogan? Oh yeah, we know he's not here. Peter Drogan? Cynthia Enos Hogue? Jeffrey Fisher? Dawn Freiberger? Kathleen Garvin? William Hamilton? Mark Major? Joanne Mulligan? Susan Naughton? Bruce Norwell IV? Bruce Norwell IV? Joshua Walther? William Abbott? Mariah Boulos? Cassie Braithwaite? Richard Buckley? Amanda Cronin? Ellen DiGirolamo? Amy DeVito? Audrey Grace? David Johnson? John Lee? David Leonard? David Leonard? Lucy McNamara? John Mostich? Laura Pinkham? Sally Rose? Donna Sherman? Donna Sherman? Bernard Smith? Kristen Cyrek? Kristen Cyrek? Demetrios Trantafilides? Sorry. David Anderson? David Anderson? Benjamin Barrett? Robert Buckley? Robert Buckley? William Buckley? Cheryl Karen? Zachary Conrad? Zachary Conrad? Judith Conroy? Diane Culhane? Philip Chekarowski? Robert Damish? Edward Forsberg? Francis Kenny? Jean Kenny? Ann Kreekus? Katie Mazzaros? Gregory Noble? Lucy Romanowitz? Lucy Romanowitz? Erica Sharis? Douglas Shea? Timothy Bailey Jr.? Brian Connor? Emilio Di Virgilio Jr.? Daniel Ellard? Mark Gallivan? Nancy Gallivan? Caitlin Kenny Walsh? Caitlin Kenny Walsh? Sarah Katib? Gerard Lane Jr.? James McAlvin? Sarah McAlvin? James Moeller? Beth Musini? Nancy Niles? James O'Neill? Nancy O'Neill? Susan Shockett? Aaron Singer? Aaron Singer? Lisa Vanderlinden? Okay. Now I got total mark.
I'm sure there was folks keeping tally, but the clerk has to do the tally. We'll give her a couple of minutes to do that, then we'll announce the vote. After which, we'll move to Article 14, per Ms. McNamara's request. And Ms. McNamara, are you going to speak to that? Okay. And then we'll go back to Article 7. And please don't leave. We'll get through this. It shouldn't take us too much longer, because we have always the ever-exciting zoning articles coming up. So I want to commend the body on a very good debate there. I thought it was wonderful. I know for some folks, you're time conscious. I think articles of this nature that are extremely important to the town, we need to devote the appropriate time to it, and I think we have done so this evening. So I commend you on your very good debate. If there are any budding stand-up comedians in the audience, you're more than welcome to come up for a while and use the microphone if you'd like. Mr. Wright? Gotta go to 7. Yeah, they've got it over there. They've got 6. Take your time. Please don't rush. Take your time. I'd rather have it right than wrong. You're getting the full baptism. All right, no, you're good. Yep. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Yeah, that sounds like it. You okay with that? Okay. Yeah, I think that's what they get. Okay, according to the clerk, those in favor are 69, those opposed 55. A simple majority vote is required. It is a vote. The petition passes. Okay, Article 14, Ms. McNamara. Now, before you start, Ms. McNamara, I do want to tell you that I do have a substitute motion on Article 14, proffered by Pradeep Mishra, and seconded by Pat Fasanello, from precincts 1 and 3, respectively. That motion is similar to what's in the handout, but I'm going to read this to you, just so you know this is a substitute motion, to bring it to the attention of the body, and then we'll vote if you want to make the substitute motion the main motion. But the substitute motion says as follows. It says the Finance Committee and Finance Commission establishes action on the citizens petition, and it says to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws of the town of Walpole, Massachusetts, to abolish the existing appointed Finance Committee and establish in its place an elected Finance Commission consisting of 5 members elected at large by the voters at the town for staggered 3-year terms to serve as the town's financial advisory body to town meeting and with the powers and duties currently assigned to the Finance Committee or to take any action in relation thereto. That is the substitute motion by Mr. Mishra and Mr. Fasanello. Ms. McNamara.
Thank you very much. Lucy McNamara, 16 Clear Pond Drive, Precinct 6. So some of you heard what my subject matter was when we were addressing Article 13. I ask your forgiveness on that. At the face of it, we're looking at a town-elected group instead of an appointed group. But let me remind you that 5 people do not replace 14. 15, okay, 15. I thought the only opinion I heard, the most I heard was 14-0. So our town achieved a AAA bond rating, which only 14 to 25 towns of this state achieved that. That's significant. Way back when, I was in a town that had no emergency fund.
Yes, sir.
Point of order, excuse me. I don't know, are you speaking on the substitute motion or the original motion right
The
now?
original motion, please.
Yeah, I've not yet put the substitute motion before the body.
I didn't know what you were speaking to.
Yeah, no, good point, sir. And by the way, I'm sorry, Ms. Megan, the main motion here is for no action. That's the main motion that's before the body, but I did read you the substitute motion. Go, you can speak.
Okay, so briefly to summarize the dissatisfaction I heard from people within my limited community. It was the feeling that there's no transparency, the feeling that there have been major projects started and continued without the town voting on those projects. And that really has had a lot of traction. And so another thing I heard about was property tax. That I looked at my own address, 2010, it was like $3,300 in a calendar year, and now it's up to $66,000. So that's doubling in 16 years, which means it's a 4.2% increase if you use the rule of 72. And that's a combination of both the rate increase and my property value going up. Third thing, in November, the Select Board has the opportunity to change from 2 separate tax rates, because right now, if you're residential, it's $12.45 per thousand, and if you're in industry or commercial, it's $16.81 per thousand. The Select Board has the opportunity to make it even funded. In other words, there's no difference between the residential rate and the commercial. The reason this is important—
Excuse me, point of order.
It's germane to this article because the dissatisfaction from the people who have elected us is that things can be changed without their ability to vote on it. And so even though I am not for an elected finance committee as it is designed in this article, I do want to point out there is significant dissatisfaction with how things are running right now. And I think that I have an opportunity to bring it up at this moment, and it's about to end, if you give me 30 more seconds, I think what's not in this particular article is that maybe the way to look at this is FinCom needs to have some at-large members to bring the wider voice.
Thank you very
And
much.
that's it.
Before we go to you, Mr. Fasenello, I want to get the vote of the Finance Committee, please, and the Board of Selectmen on the main article, which is for no action. Mr. Crowley.
The Finance Committee voted no action, 14-0-0.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett?
The Select Board voted no action, 5-0-0.
Thank you. Mr. Fasenello?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. This article, this substitute motion would give town meeting reps the opportunity to decide if the FinCom is an asset as an appointed committee or a detriment to the democratic process. Residents, RTM, and town leadership are urged to engage in this discussion and consider whether this approach would benefit Walpole in the years ahead. Having a FinCom be an elected board will give the voters choice and control with increased transparency. I urge you to support the transition to an elected board. It's a step towards greater accountability, stronger community engagement, and a government that truly reflects the will of the people it serves. And, Mr. Moderator, you know, governments are loath to change. And it's a good thing we do have citizens petition, because left alone, a government will just do what it wants and go on. But if we have the citizens a right to do a petition like this, we can make some meaningful changes. So this substitute motion is to give the voters their vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fasenello. And as I said to you, Pat, before the meeting, this was a motion of Mr. Mishra, seconded by you, as you know, and I'm very happy to accept the motion. The problem is that the motion, and I'm going to defer to council on this, appears, in my opinion, to be outside the scope of the article. But I'm going to have Mr. Reich weigh in on this issue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, through you. As I heard the motion, and I've seen it written as well, the substitute motion, two things. The substitute motion is exactly the same as Article 16 itself. There is no difference between the
Article 14, you mean?
Article 14, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize. The language is exactly the same as found in Article 14. There is no difference. Further, the substitute motion is not in the form of a motion. It's in the form of a warrant article. It's actually restating the warrant article. The motion that you have in front of you is proposing action on Article 14. And the suggestion now is to put the same article back before the voters as a motion. In my opinion, it's not in the form of a motion, and it simply repeats the article. The action on the article would be favorable or unfavorable. The Finance Committee has made a main motion, a negative main motion, that would allow action on the article. In my opinion, the quote-unquote substitute motion is not properly in the form of a motion.
Thank you. And for those reasons, and for the same reasons I gave earlier on the other article, there's nothing in the warrant which would allow this to go out to the voters. If there was an article included in the warrant that said, you know, we can defer this to the vote, things of that nature, that would be fine, but it's not there. So it's outside the scope of Article 14. That is your substitute motion, Pat. It's outside the scope of for the reasons that Council just said in my reading of a scope of the article, and I did quite a bit of research on this before the meeting. So I cannot put the substitute motion to the body for those reasons. So what you have is the main motion, which the Finance Committee has recommended no action. Now, you don't have to vote no action. If you want to vote positive action on that, you can. But, I suppose, but that's what's before the body. But I think you should take some comfort in the fact that the substitute motion and what's printed in the warrant is pretty much the same. So I think your point is being made here as well. So that's my thought. Mr. O'Neill.
Jim O'Neill, Precinct 8. Move the question, please.
Mr. O'Neill moves the question. Requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The question is moved. This is for no action. Point of order.
I'd like a clarification through town council as to what a yea and a nay vote will do, please.
This is a motion, this is the Article 14.
As written, right.
Article 14 is on before, and you read, you know what it says, okay, to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws. Let me finish, please. The main motion is for no action, so it's a simple majority vote.
The clarification I'm looking for is, does a yea vote mean no action is taken?
Correct.
And a no vote mean action should be taken?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes. Just like any other motion for no action, it's the same thing. Okay? This requires a simple majority vote. The question has been moved. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. Okay, we're going to go to Article 7, which was held by Mr. Damish, I believe. Am I correct, Mr. Damish? That's a simple majority vote. Thank you.
Damish, Precinct 7. Geez, I almost forgot about this one. I'm in favor of the article. I just had a simple question. I
Sure.
noticed that what they're spending this year on the budget will be like 2/3 of what is right now in holdings. And I'm curious what the revenue stream is looking like for the Walpole Community Television.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Rice, you have a question or comment?
Just for clarification, I don't think we actually have a motion on the table. The article was held. Do we want to have the statement of the motion?
Oh, thank you. Let me go through that formally. But please stay there, Mr. Damish. It is moved that and second of the town transfer from PEG access and cable-related fund the sum of $536,957.99, and appropriate the same as grant to the Walpole Media Corporation to operate the Walpole Cable Access PEG channels for fiscal year 2027. This was a petition of the Select Board. Could I have the FinCom votes on this, please?
Finance Committee voted favorable action 13-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. And Mr. Barrett on the Select Person's vote.
The Select Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you. Thank you for that point. Mr. Johnson, you can answer Mr. Damish's question, please.
So to be quite honest with you, I am concerned about it also. Currently, the account has a balance of $783,000 in there. This request is for $536,000, so that'll take it down to about $250,000. Over the last few years, we've seen a trend go from about $75,000 to $72,000 a quarter from each provider, Verizon and Comcast. And just these last 2 quarters, in February, we received $60,000 and $57,000, so it's dipped significantly. So I'm concerned. I put the Walpole Media Board on notice that I've expressed concern. They are an independent 501c3 that comes through this body. They are very much aware of my concerns. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Other questions and comments with regard to Article 7? There being none, this requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Article 8, MWRA connection. I'm not going to read it. It's rather lengthy. It's a petition of the Sewer and Water Commissioners. Finance Committee vote, please.
Finance Committee voted favorable action 14-0-0.
Select Person's vote.
The Select Board voted favorable action 4-1-0.
And Sewer and Water vote, please. Mr. Mishra?
The board voted 4-1-0.
4-1-0. Thank you, sir. Questions and comments with regard to Article 8? Mr. O'Leary.
I have some confusion. Is this article merely to give the select board the permission to speak with the MWRA and make any connections? Or is this requesting us to hook up right now? Could someone
Okay.
answer that?
Yes, sir.
If I may, through you, Mr. Moderator, this article would allow the Select Board to file for special legislation to allow the board to enter into contracts with the MWRA to enable the connection. It would not be an immediate connection. It would be a petition to the legislature because of the way the MWRA is formulated. Membership into the MWRA, the process would require a special act, and this would allow the Select Board to petition that special act, which would then allow the town to enter into agreements for the connection with the MWRA.
That is then the standard procedure, through you, Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
For towns to...
To join, yes. Yes, it is, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Abbott?
Thank you. Bill Abbott, Precinct 6, also a member of the Sewer and Water Commission. Just to give a little context to this particular article, at a prior town meeting, this body appropriated funds to investigate supplementing our current water supply. And there's two options. One is we can look for additional wells in town, and the second one was to connect to the MWA. We've made progress on both of those. We have identified a potential well site, and we've also been working with Weston Sampson with the various logistical issues, regulatory issues to make an MWR connection. There's a number of criteria that have to be met for admission to the MWA water system, and one of them is a majority vote of the town meeting. So a favorable vote just addresses one of the criteria that the MWA requires. It is not saying that we will connect or that the MWA will grant us admission. It is really just checking off one of the boxes so that if we decide to go to the MWA, we can say, yes, we have a town meeting vote, and that the next thing would be to get a positive vote by the legislature, the governor sign, and so forth. But at this point, we have not officially decided one way or the other. As I mentioned, we're looking in two options, and we've got positive results in both areas.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Other questions and comments with regard to Article 8? There being none, this requires a simple majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a vote. Majority vote. Articles 10, 11, and 12 are zoning articles. Number 12 being a petition of a private citizen, and council is here to present on behalf of that particular individual. But we'll start with Article 10. Article 10, Article 9 was on the consent agenda, and we passed that with a two-thirds vote. Thank you. Article 10. It is moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws, sections 5A and 5B, by deleting certain subsections. My understanding is this is a kind of a housekeeping article, but I will defer, of course, to the presenters. Could I have the vote, please, from the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee voted favorable action 10-0-0.
Select Board, please.
Select Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
And the Planning Board?
Planning Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Crowley or Mr. Duchesne, are they going to be speaking on this issue? Mr. Duchesne, Town Planner.
Thank you, Pat Shanes. So this is continuing the effort that the Zoning Bylaw Review Steering Committee has done in the last two town meetings. Stems from a legal audit of our zoning bylaws. Section 5 is our use regulations. It's some of the more dense sections of our zoning, which is why we kind of broke it up into two articles. Article 10 itself is dealing more with our table of use regulations. Just a very, quick summary. Really trying to update, modernize the language, kind of remove inconsistencies. There's some over-explanatory language that is better utilized as definition updates or as footnotes. So that's mainly the gist of that article is the table of use.
Okay. Thank you. Questions and comments with regard to Article 10? There being none, this requires a two-thirds vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Article 11. Again, as a zoning article is moved that the town second to amend the zoning bylaw, Section 5, use regulations. This is a petition of the Board of Selectmen or Select Person, sorry. Finance Committee, vote please.
Finance Committee voted favorable action 10-0-0.
Select Board.
Select Board vote was favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you. And Mr. O'Leary?
Planning Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Questions and comments with regard to Article 11? Pat, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Section 5, long article. There's some subsections after the use table. This is more house cleaning as well, and so this is a few of the subsections within Section 5. Similar, trying to correct inconsistencies and better explain some of the zoning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions and comments with regard to Article 11?
I do, Mr. Moderator.
Yes,
If I could,
Mr.
please.
Barrett.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I just wanted to thank Pat and all the personnel at the town that have worked on this, and everyone who has volunteered for the Bylaw Review Committee. It is as scintillating as it sounds, but they have done a phenomenal job thus far, and the work continues. So I would just beg everybody here to please stay involved even after this meeting ends. The Bylaw Review Committee is going to continue to work. Their meetings are recorded on Walpole Media, as are every other elected boards. So please do reach out if you have any questions, or please do watch those meetings on Walpole Media. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just heard somebody say there's an opening. So, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Barrett. Questions and comments with regard to Article 11? It requires a two-thirds vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Article 12, which will be the last article of the evening, is a citizen's petition. It's a petition of Philip H. Mackey. Mr. Mackey, before you go, could I have the vote, please, of the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee voted favorable action 10-0-0.
10-0-0, Finance Committee. Select Board?
Select Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
And Mr. O'Leary, Planning Board.
Planning Board voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Mackey.
Good evening. My name is Phil Mackey. I'm here as the lead petitioner because it requires citizens petition, and as counsel for Mike Cook, who operates Northeast Cross. In the interest of knowing that it's been late, and you've been very patient, I'm going to summarize the letter very quickly and answer a couple of questions that I think everyone probably is going to ask, and hopefully that will get it out of the way. Basically, Mr. Cook owns Northeast Broncos. He's been in town for several years. He wants to stay in town, and he wants to expand his business. He has worked, or tried to work, with Mr. Crowley to figure out how to do that legally, and it just doesn't work without a variety of variances. John's got to be tired because I didn't even get him to look up. So basically what happened is the solution would be maybe you can buy some of your neighbor's property, rezone it, and then you can expand your business. So the questions that aren't addressed within the letter are basically how did this weird triangle come about? It was not vacant land that he bought and is now trying to shoehorn in more limited manufacturing. It was in fact part of the Brooks's property off of Cedar Street. They met with him, they agreed to sell it to him because they thought that he was a good neighbor and it made sense. So that's how the triangle came about. It's been asked if this is spot zoning. It is not. It is adding limited manufacturing to existing limited manufacturing, which is part of a larger district. It just happens to be right on the edge. So it's okay from that perspective. I don't know in your copies if you can see the shaded area inside of the triangle. That is a buffer zone that would exist. In fact, you do vote to rezone this from residential to limited manufacturing. So in reality, if you look in the backyard, this is probably going to end up with more of a buffer to the residences than currently exists. And then last but not least, do the neighbors oppose this or do they support this? The only meeting we've had neighbors at was the planning board, and they did in fact support it at that meeting. And Mr. O'Leary, who was there, a few other members here, heard their comments and voted 5-0 to support this. So I'm happy to answer any more questions, but given the time, I think I've summarized it fairly well, and I would ask that you vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey. Questions and comments with regard to Article 12? There being none, this requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Motion to resolve, second by Mr. Ardeen. All those in favor to dissolve the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, everybody.